Hi there. Welcome to our lesson on curriculum evaluation. By the end of this session, you'll be able to evaluate a curriculum using appropriate models. Sounds big, right? But don't worry, we'll break it down step by step. Let's start with a simple question: what is curriculum evaluation? Well, it's both a process and a tool. It follows a set of steps using certain frameworks or models. And it helps us, teachers, implementers, and decision-makers, judge the value of a curriculum or any changes made to it. At the heart of curriculum evaluation is this question: are the planned, written, and implemented curricula aligned, and do they lead to the results we want, meaning real student learning? Now let's look at three main ways of evaluating a curriculum, and I'll give you examples for each to make it more concrete. First, there's curriculum program evaluation. This is the big picture type, where we evaluate an entire program. For example, let's say the Department of Education wants to assess how effective the K-12 basic education curriculum has been over the past 10 years. They would look at things like national achievement scores, enrollment data, teacher training, and even graduate employability. That's program-level evaluation. Second, we have curriculum program component evaluation. This zooms in on specific parts of a curriculum. For instance, if a university wants to check whether their instructional materials in science are helping students understand concepts better, they might evaluate just that component, say, comparing textbook-based learning versus interactive digital content. Or they might focus on teaching methods, like whether inquiry-based learning is working better than lectures. And third, there's curriculum evaluation in the classroom. This is what we do most often as teachers. Here, we're looking at our lesson plans, which are mini-curricula. We use quizzes, class activities, projects, and exams to check if students are meeting the learning outcomes. For example, after teaching a unit on fractions, you might give a quiz and a group task to see if learners can apply what they've learned. Now, why do we evaluate the curriculum in the first place? Here are 4 main reasons, and some real examples, too. Needs assessment. This is about figuring out what's missing. For example, if students are struggling with critical thinking, a needs assessment can reveal the gap between the current curriculum and the skills our learners actually need. Monitoring. This means checking how the curriculum is going. For instance, are teachers really using the updated lesson guides? Are the learning materials being delivered on time? Monitoring helps us stay on track. Terminal assessment. This happens at the end of a course or unit. For example, if we want to know how much students learned in grade 10 math, we look at their final performance or standardized test scores. Basis for decision-making. We use what we've learned from evaluation to improve things. Like if students consistently underperform in science, the school might decide to revise the curriculum or provide training for teachers. So, that's a quick overview. Curriculum evaluation helps us ask, what's working? What's not? And what can we do better? Now, let's move to the hands-on part, evaluating a sample curriculum using a model of your choice. Let's go. There are several models developed by education experts to guide curriculum evaluation. Today, we'll cover 5 key models. 1. Bradley's Effectiveness Model. 2. Tyler's Objective-Centered Model. 3. Stufflebeam's CIPP Model. 4. Stakes Responsive Model and 5. Scriven's Consumer-Oriented Model. Let's dive into the first one. 1. Bradley's Effectiveness Model. This model focuses on how effectively a curriculum operates in practice. Bradley identified 8 key indicators to evaluate curriculum effectiveness. Let's go through them. 1. Vertical curriculum continuity. Question: does the curriculum reflect the format that enables teachers to quickly access what is being taught in the grade levels below or above? Example: Science 5 should build on concepts introduced in Science 4, example ecosystems, and prepare students for more advanced concepts in Science 6, example food chains. How to evaluate? Review the curriculum guides for Science 4, 5, and 6 to check for logical progression. Interview teachers across grades to gather feedback on whether they feel that content from previous grades has been adequately reviewed and extended in their current grade. 2. Horizontal curriculum continuity. Question: does the curriculum provide common content and objectives across all classes at the same grade level? Example: all English 101 sections in college should have the same syllabus, with uniform learning objectives and assignments. How to evaluate? Compare syllabi and lesson plans across different instructors for English 101 to ensure content consistency. Collect feedback from students across different sections to assess if they are learning the same concepts and skills. Hold regular meetings with instructors teaching the same course to align teaching methods, objectives, and assessment strategies. 3. Instruction based on curriculum. Question: are lesson plans, syllabi, and teaching strategies derived from the curriculum? Are materials aligned with content, objectives, and activities? Example: a Math 101 course should follow the official curriculum, with lesson plans designed to meet the objectives outlined, example basic algebraic concepts. How to evaluate? Review lesson plans to check if they align with the official curriculum's objectives. Observe classroom instruction to see if teachers are adhering to the approved curriculum and using recommended resources. Interview teachers to understand how they adapt and implement the curriculum into their lessons. 4. Broad involvement. Question: is there evidence of involvement from various curriculum stakeholders in the planning, designing, and implementation of the curriculum? Example: stakeholders may include teachers, department heads, parents, students, and even community members. How to evaluate? Hold focus groups or surveys with teachers, students, and parents to gather their opinions on the curriculum. Review meeting minutes or planning documents to check for input from various groups. 5. Long-range planning. Question: does the curriculum have a review cycle and long-term planning process in place? Example evaluation: a curriculum should be reviewed and updated every few years to incorporate new educational research, societal needs, and technological advancements. How to evaluate? Check the curriculum's formal review schedule to ensure it's being evaluated regularly. Examine records of past reviews or updates to see if improvements have been made. Conduct interviews with curriculum developers to understand how long-term changes are planned and implemented. 6. Positive human relations. Question: did the development of the curriculum include input from teachers, principals, curriculum leaders, and other stakeholders? Example evaluation: curriculum development should be a collaborative process that reflects the needs and perspectives of those who will implement and experience it. How to evaluate? Conduct interviews or surveys with the original curriculum development team, teachers, administrators, etc., to determine how inclusive the process was. Review meeting agendas and minutes to see if different stakeholders were consulted. Look for evidence of ongoing dialogue and feedback mechanisms throughout the curriculum's development and revision. 7. Theory into practice. Question: is there clarity of vision, mission, graduate outcomes, and program philosophy in the curriculum? Example evaluation: the curriculum should clearly reflect the institution's goals, example preparing students for college, employment, or active citizenship. How to evaluate? Review the curriculum to check if the vision, mission, and expected graduate outcomes are explicitly stated. Interview faculty members to assess whether they feel aligned with the program's philosophy. Examine course descriptions and objectives to determine if they reflect the program's overarching goals. 8. Plan change. Question: is there tangible evidence showing that internal and external stakeholders accept the developed program? Example evaluation. A new language arts curriculum might need acceptance not only from teachers but also from parents, community members, and local businesses. How to evaluate? Gather feedback from teachers, parents, and students through surveys or meetings to determine if the curriculum is well received. Look at enrollment numbers and student performance before and after changes to see if the curriculum has made a positive impact. Review external recognition or endorsements, such as partnerships with local organizations or government bodies, to gauge broader acceptance. These examples illustrate how you can evaluate each indicator in Bradley's effectiveness model. Each evaluation step involves a combination of document review, direct observation, surveys, interviews, and feedback from key stakeholders to ensure the curriculum is effective and relevant. Next is Tyler's objective-centered model. This model is widely known for its systematic approach to curriculum design, implementation, and evaluation. It helps ensure that everything we do in our classroom, from planning lessons to assessing learning, stays focused on well-defined objectives. Let's walk through each of the 6 key curriculum elements in Tyler's model and look at how we can evaluate each of them. 1. Objectives or intended learning outcomes. Tyler emphasizes the importance of starting with clear, predetermined objectives. Example. Objective: students will be able to solve quadratic equations using the quadratic formula. How do we evaluate this? Check if the objectives are SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. 2. Situation or context. Next, Tyler says we must identify real-life or classroom situations where students can demonstrate the targeted behavior. Example. You give students a word problem involving projectile motion in physics where they must use the quadratic formula to find time. How do we evaluate this? Relevance: is the situation authentic and age-appropriate? Alignment: does it actually offer an opportunity to demonstrate the objective? 3. Evaluation instruments or tools. This step is about selecting or designing tools that will help us measure the achievement of the objectives. Example. You create a quiz with both multiple choice and open-ended items assessing the use of the quadratic formula. Evaluation criteria. Objectivity: are the items free from bias? Reliability: will the test yield consistent results over time? Validity: do the items truly measure what they are intended to? 4. Utilization of tools. Now it's time to administer the tool and gather data. Example. Students take the quiz, their scores and solution strategies are recorded. Evaluation. Are you using multiple forms of evidence? Example, quiz plus performance task. 5. Analysis of results. Once data is collected, analyze it to identify strengths, weaknesses, and possible reasons behind the results. Example. You find that 80% of students got correct answers, but many struggled with identifying A, B, and C in the equation. Evaluation. Use item analysis to identify which questions were most missed. Group performance by categories. Example, procedural versus conceptual errors. 6. Utilization of results. Finally, use the insights from your analysis to refine your instruction and curriculum. Example. You realize students need more practice identifying coefficients, so you plan a remediation lesson focused on equation structure. Evaluation. Did the changes improve learning outcomes in the next cycle? Are your instructional decisions evidence-based? Tyler's model reminds us that effective teaching is not just about delivering content. It's about aligning everything we do with our learning objectives, continuously checking if we're achieving them, and using data to make improvements.